Hi, it's Lil from Made by Marley. Welcome back to our channel. Now today is going to be a really quick video, a really quick tutorial on using the IOD paint inlays. I was very fortunate that my good friend Julie from Purple Monkey Manor gave me these quite some time ago, and I completely forgot them. I put them in my stash and then remembered them, so I thought, oh, I better do something with these. So what I've done is I've kind of speed painted some things just to speed up the process, just so you get the concept, because I think with these, I've seen a lot of people make signs out of them. So I was thinking, what could you do other than signs? So let's have a wee look at what we're going to start with. So the first thing, I got Martin to cut me out some blocks. Now I'm going to be using the Noel. So make sure when you cut out your blocks that your letters fit on. That might be helpful. And he also cut me out some little black ones, and I've painted these black, obviously, and these are going to go, well, they were supposed to go like that, but I think Martin didn't get the thing. As Martin's telling me I've got it the wrong way. Aha! See? It's not, how dare I blame Martin? Right, okay, so you get the concept. So you're going to need 4 of these, sort of size, measure them out with your letters. 4 of these. Now I've already painted them cream. If you haven't used IOD inlays before, the principle is, and now I just have to make sure that these are right now. Yeah, so it's this way round. I'm doing them just in case I make an error. Right, so I'm going to just move these out of the way. So what I've already done is I've already given these 2 coats, and I'm going to be distressing this back. So I just gave the back one. I'm just going to kind of rub over it, and I've painted them with Annie Sloan's Old Ochre, which is a really off-white, creamy white, which I quite like. So first of all, you're going to have to put on your glasses, because if not, you're not going to see a thing. And what did I do? Here, we'll start in the way we should. We'll do the end first. So when you're using inlays, it's got little squares to help you cut it out, which is really totally helpful if you're not very good at following along the lines, which I'm not really particularly. You cut out your inlays. Now this whole video is going to be about inlays, so I'm going to kind of just do one, and then we'll kind of speed through the rest, just so you get the gist. So we've got our end. Let's just have a wee look at spacing, where we're going to put it. Just going to nick that edge off there and this edge off here, just for better fitting. So let's have a wee look now. Yeah, I don't want it, I want it kind of centered like that. So all you do is, so I've already given this 2 coats of paint. All you're going to do to apply your inlay is one thin coat. Not, you don't want it too thick, or you'll have wrinkles and it'll be a little bit messy, but you do want enough paint on it that it's going to. Now I've kind of gone right to the edges, because I'm thinking on my feet here, and thinking I might put a wee half snowflake if there's enough room. There might not be. There we go. Just get rid of that little bit of fluff, and that's enough. Get your inlay. You kind of want to get it positioned, not the way I just did and thrown it on. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't remove them, but I had a moment. God. Right, okay, well, that's good enough. It'll just have to be. So then what you do is you just by the way, I have got many inlay videos if you want to see me do it actually correctly, but there we go. You don't want actual wrinkles on your actual inky parts, so make sure that you kind of focus on them. Patting the rest down. Pat, pat, pat. And this is the bit where it's embedding, because they're live paint, it's just embedding into the paint you've already put on. Turn it around, and then you need to give it a squish of water, like that. Some people use braiders and things just to smooth them all out, but I'm not. And just make sure that it's I'm not worried about these wrinkles here. I just don't want too many wrinkles on the actual letters themselves, on the actual where the ink is. And that looks to me like it's perfect. Now, it's obviously a distress style because it's got, you know, the... So I'm going to go on and do the O and the E and the L. And then before I do that, the black is very black. And what I want to do with that is I just want to give this a little bit of dark wax. Now, these will have to be spray sealed. I'll be spraying everything today with Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear. It's a protective coat, and I use the Rust-Oleum products as a lacquer. So, and all I'm doing here is I've just got my little brown wax brush, and I'm just giving these a little coat of wax like that, just to kind of make them look a little bit more fancy, just like that. So I'm going to be setting all 4 of these to the side as well just now. Okay. This is an old box that I made, I think for my daughter's wedding. And it was in one of our sheds. And all I've done is, I want to keep the rest of it natural, but I can flip it around at Christmas. I've just painted this section here white, and I've given it 2 rough coats because I'm going to be distressing this as well. Now, my sign is slightly... on this box going to be slightly bigger, so I'm going to try and work out what I can do with these words. I think I'll put these at the side, but what I'll do is, because I want to do that, is I'm just going to cut this section away of the inlays, just like that, just so when I go to try and work out how to put the rest of the words in, I've got a bit more space around the trees. So it's the same principle as before, basically. I'll just move this out the way a minute, which is put your Annie Sloan, well, I'm using Annie Sloan's old ochre, and just put a good coat of this onto your surface. Now, this isn't going to dry really quickly for me because it's in the stable, but if you're in a hot climate, I'd put a little bit of spritz of water on your brush first, just so that your paint keeps moist, because if not, it'll not transfer. I don't know how far this goes out, but we'll go out as far as this on both sides. And then once you've got your paint on, I kind of tend to do one last sweep over just to check that there's no too many lumpy bits. There we go. Come back with the inlay. And now I'm doing this at a really funny angle, so let's hope it's not too bad. There, I think that's not too bad there. Just going to reach over and get my cloth. So you get the principle of the inlays. I mean, and when you take them off, it's just the opposite. You just wet them and then peel them back off and then seal them. So it's not, you know, difficult. They're really easy to use and they come out really nice. And these are all quite, I was looking at all the design, they're all quite distressed. So if you're into your sort of farmhouse and you're sort of distressing, then these are for you. Just get my water. Actually, before I sprit this with water, I just want to work out how to, now I'm going to have to read this backwards. Open Saturday and Sunday. Right, so I'm going to do open Saturday. Find my scissors. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm just splitting up the letters so that I can fit them in this gap. So I think I'm probably going to do open Saturday like this. So I'm just going to put a little bit more paint on. I'm going to balance that up there. Somebody commented recently about how their heart was in their mouth because I was balancing something. And I said Martin often has that feeling. So I'm going to do open Saturday. And what I've got here on Sunday. I'm just going to do open Saturday and Sunday, and we'll do the other one on the other side. Obviously, if your inlay fits on your surface, you don't need to do this. This is just what I'm going to do. ATM. I'm wondering whether I could just put a little bit more paint on this side because we've had a minute with nothing on it. I'm not too worried about this edge because, as I said, I'm going to distress it. So I'm going to do. Oh, hang on! I can see a big lumpy bit of paint. ATM. Oops. And I'm just going to carry on and stick that on there like that. AM till dark. And it's the same principle again. You just spritz wherever my spritz is gone. So you're just spritzing like this over your design, like that, all over it, and then embedding it in, making sure that if you've added other parts that you've got water on them. Just pat those down, make sure there's no little air bubbles. Yeah, so you get the gist of this one. Now I'm going to let this one dry and we'll come back to it when it's ready to peel off. I popped into the pound shop recently and they had these mini little sort of chopping boards. They were pine. They were very uneventful. They were £1 each, so I bought 3 of them. Wasn't quite sure what to do, put them in my craft stash, but I've had a bit of an idea. So I am going to put the baubles, but I'm gonna just like sort of going to put one here. And obviously I'm using red paint now, and this is Annie Sloan's Emperor's Silk. I'm going to put one there, and on 2 of them I want 2, and then the last one I just want 1 bauble. So, and I think I'm going to do, I need to cut this part here off. Now I've already kind of coated these with red, so we've already got paint on them. I want this to come right up to the top, and I don't mind if it goes slightly off. Same deal, you're getting the gist of this now. Spritz and pat down. I don't really want that wrinkle there. That one there's okay. Can you hear Martin's stomach grumbling? Martin, did I not feed you? No. Oh, the kind of red of that one is kind of lost on the red. There we go. Now you get what I'm doing now. On this one here, I'm going to just do another 2 baubles, and on the last one I'm going to do just the one. So I'll get on and do this, and we'll let them dry, and then we'll see what we're going to do to these next. I bought this wooden vase at a charity shop recently. It's wooden. Thought it was a really nice shape, but I put it in my stash. Wasn't quite sure what to do with it until today. So I've painted it this gorgeous. This paint's colour's called Siren, and it's Cornish milk paint. And I'm just going to do, as I've done with everything else, making sure that I've got a good coat of paint. Now my design is going to go right around the edge here, so I have to make sure that I've got it plenty of paint applied. This one I'm applying on here was the lightest one, so I'm able to use quite a dark colour. I've had to use quite a lot of whites and creams unless I used like a top coat to apply them, so that's why there's quite a lot, unusually for me, a lot of pale colours, but this one I thought I can get away with a darker colour. So again, my paint's been applied. I'm just going to set my brush to the side, and this is the one out of the set I'm using. Got kind of oranges and candy canes and fir branches. I think it'll be really nice running around the centre of here, and it's not too overtly Christmassy either. Now it's going to get a little bit awkward around this edge, but hopefully when we wet it, which I'm going to start over here around this edge, just so that I can kind of get less wrinkles in it. It'll be fine down the front. Just do that here at this edge, just so I can get it to run round smoothly. and not have too many wrinkles with the design. Plenty of water. You want plenty of water, but you don't want too much. Coming back with your cloth, and this is when you're really kind of embedding it into your paint. So you're pushing it down, and when this one's dry, I'm just gonna stage it out with some nice greenery. Nothing too much. Just making sure that I've got it right round this edge as well, because now, as you can see, there's some tiny little wrinkles, but it's because it's going around a corner. But I think if we just let it dry, it'll do what we want it to do. I'm not gonna overthink it too much, and that's the problem with these things. You kind of think it'll overthink it. I understand the sort of nervousness to buy things like this and use them, because you think, well, I don't want to waste the money, I don't want to get it wrong. But to be honest with you, there isn't a way that you can get the inlays wrong unless you put them on the wrong way. Always have your crisscross pattern facing you. It's more pronounced on this side. When you're working on pale ones, sometimes it's difficult to tell, and I have seen an awful lot of people put them on the wrong way. But do you know what? I've done it too. So, you know, it's not, I did it once with a big piece of furniture. Man, don't tell people. But yeah, I've done it too. So, you know, don't worry about it. I was saying to Martin, it hasn't worked, and I'd done inlays a few times before that, but it was because it was really pale. But do you want to know the reason why? Wasn't wearing my glasses, and I'm blind as a bat. Anyway, okay. It did work fine, Martin, in the end. It did. So I'm going to set this one to the side now and let it dry, and we'll come back to it in a minute. I thought this was a really pretty tin. It had a sort of biscuit thing on the top, but I really liked the purple underneath, and I thought it kind of went quite nicely with the sleigh rides one. So I'm going to put the sleigh rides on here, and then I thought it'd be really nice. We gift box with some light green tissue paper, and I've got some nice green velvet ribbon that we could tie it up with. And I'm just going to keep it quite simple. I might do a tiny little green edge around here once we've got our inlay on. So again, I think you're starting to understand. It's like deja vu over and over again, isn't it? So we're just applying the paint onto the top of the tin. And you've got, I mean, these are a great way of doing really nice, like people think you've been really thoughtful and done some really swanky wrapping. So, and I thought this would be really nice. I think my mum would like something like this with something in it for her Christmas. So, it's got that kind of vintage look. And a nice cardigan, and a nice cardigan, Marty says. Martin, she doesn't want a cardigan this year. I don't actually know what she wants. Oh, she asked me for a charm bracelet. That's kind of branching out from her mum. So, again, you can see what I'm doing each time. I'm just making sure it's not overtly wrinkled. And I'm using my hand for that. Some people use their cloth, but I'm just using my hand right now. And making sure it's all embedded into the paint. Give it a scoosh. Now, there's quite a lot of water in that. I don't think I need all that. And that is going to be really cute once it's done. See, with the little tartan edge. I just thought that was really pretty. So I'm going to let that dry, and we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, this was a horror moment for Martin. He went, I'll cut you a really nice piece of wood. But I tried to tell him this is exactly what I wanted. This was the front of an old pot cupboard, a piece of the veneer that I got Martin to remove, and it was sitting over there, and I thought this would look really nice, really distressed. And I'm going to get him to drill a couple of holes up the top to hang this. I wasn't sure what to do with this great big Christmas tree, but I thought it doesn't quite fit on here, but I don't want it to. I just want its sort of, most of it's just sort of its side. It'll fit mostly on at the top, but I'm going to lose this part here. So I'm just going to cut it now, just roughly, so I know where I'm putting it. I'm going to be able to do that like that, and keep these parts because these might come in handy for something else. So I'm going to be embedding this somewhere like this. I want to get it right to the top. I'm going to just take this little part off the bottom so I've got an idea of. So this is going to be really rustic, and I thought this would be quite nice hanging on a door, one of the shed doors or something once I've done it. So, and I'm going into a dip here, so that could be a wee bit problematic, but I'm just going to get my eye on where it is. So again, here we go again. Now because we're going into a dip, we're having to make sure that we put paint in here. I will distress this back. I distressed it only with one coat because I was looking at that distress look, but I'm going to have to, because I'm putting my inlay on, put quite a bit of paint onto it. So smooth out my wrinkles. Make sure I've got a wee bit more along this edge here because it might flip over a bit. I'm going to do now. I'm going to deal with this dip first because it's kind of contoured, and then if I gently just run my scissors on the not sharp side and fold that over, just make sure, just like that, just so none of it's lost. And I can do the same at this edge here, just the blunt side of your scissors, just like that. Now be careful, don't cut it. I'm going to put a bit of stamping up here, I think. So just want to, yeah, I'm just making sure I don't want to lose the top of my tree, but you shouldn't really go back and do this, but I'm able. And again, some water. Oh man, I think my spray was still going in a skish matter. Sorry, man. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Now, there we go. Do you know what I'm actually thinking? I've got this part on here and I'm wondering, kind of cut it a little bit. I'm wondering if I could come back in. Once I've put this on, I think I might dry it, and I think I might come back in with this part here and wrap it round. I don't know, because right now I've cut it because I didn't realise I was going into that gap, but we'll see how it looks when it dries. I think I might do that. It's going to be a wee bit annoying, but it was just to use it up. I think this is going to be quite cute. Okay, we'll let that dry and we'll work on that in a minute. Okay, with this one, this is an old drawer. You know I like my old drawers. Now don't worry that it's not a very nice, I wasn't bothered there because I'm going to put some ribbon around there, but it's an old drawer. I've kept the veneer on this side, but this is how it looks. And I've given it 2 rough coats. Now I've got a few here that I'm going to use. I know I'm going to put the truck down the bottom like that. Yeah, but I want the hot chocolate up the top here. I just want to cut this one a little bit so I know my spacing. So it's going to say hot chocolate there. And I've got fresh cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on like this. But what I'm actually going to do is in between all this, once it's dry, is I'm going to stamp. So I'm going to do, sorry, I'm just cutting off all my excess just so I know how much room I've got to play with. So this is going to go down there. This is going to say fresh cut here. So it's going to be, I'm going to do hot chocolate. So I'm going to move this over a bit and I'm going to do the word and fresh cut. And then I'm going to do the word trees down here. So it makes it one cohesive thing, but I'll stamp the words that are missing. So I'm just going to kind of move this down a bit and work in sections because you know what I'm like, I'll get it all squint if I don't. So I think we're seeing here. And as I said, I'm going to be putting a little bit of ribbon around this edge. And I'm going to be putting greenery in here as well. So I'm not too worried about the edges. All right. So we're going to put this here because we need to put our and. Yeah. Smooth that out. Lovely. And then we're going to do fresh cut here, kind of centered. And if you're unsure about placement and you want to break it up like what I'm doing and separate it all out, then this is probably quite a good way to do it, because I'm going to have the back quite distressed anyway, so it doesn't all need to be painted. I'm a bit concerned that there's not enough paint. You should never do this with inlays, ever, ever, ever. But as you can see, I just have. It hadn't started to transfer. I want to do fresh cut, kind of like this. Smooth that out. And so I'm hoping that this is giving you lots of different ideas that you could do. If you have the inlays and you think, well, I don't want to make it, I mean, this is going to be obviously something that hangs on the wall, but it's a little bit better than a sign, you know, just a bog standard sign. And we'll use everything up that we've done to give them a little bit of a wow, a wow factor. Martin, stop it! You're making me laugh. He's being silly, right? All right, Martin, you can't film me anymore because you're being too silly today. Right? Okay, and there's my truck. Pat that down. Make sure there's no wrinkles in my truck. Make sure it's all embedded into the paint, like so. Now I'm just gonna put my cloth in my water, and I'll be using the type stampy sets from IOD stamps to do my words in between, I would imagine. Or I might use a stencil, but I'll probably just use my stamps. So far I've used mostly old ochre paint for most of my backgrounds. I've used Emperor's Silk, Annie Sloan's Red, and I've used Siren, which is a milk paint, a Cornish milk paint. I think that's maybe only available in the UK, but it is a lovely colour. You need spray, you need a cloth, you need your inlays, and you need your spray sealer. Now, I cannot stress this enough. When these are dry, you can't just be rubbing it on with a brush. It'll smear them. I have, and I do it, but I wanted to be semi-professional today and show you the actual correct way. I do sometimes spray them first, then seal them, but be very careful as well. You can't just rub wax on them. Well, you can if you go quickly and you don't over rub, but I think probably just showing you the right way to do is probably, instead of you having to not run the gauntlet of it not being right. Now, okay, so we'll let this dry and we'll see what we can do with this next. Okay, so these are dry on the Noel sign now. So where you wetted it to get it on, you just re-wet it to get it off. Give it a couple of minutes. Rub that water into the edges. And let's peel this off and see. Now, you can use these again. You can put them away in your craft stash. Oh, that bit up there wasn't quite dry. I had something sticking on this. It was quite a rough piece of board, so I think that's what's happened there, but I'm okay with that. It's going to be distressed in a minute anyway. So what I'm going to do on the edges is I've got some stamp, and I don't know what this stamp is called. Martin, I'll get Martin to drop a link. It's a Christmassy one and it's IOD, and I have had it a few years, so I don't know quite what this one is. So I'm going to do something like this. And it's not holly, it's sort of bows and berries. Martin thinks it might. I don't know, is that not the mould?
I'll find out.
Martin buys all these things, but I just, I just say, this is what I want. Please buy it. But he sometimes can remember the names, whereas I'm not so good at that. So I'm going to do this, and then all I'm going to do is get a tiny little part of red chalk paint. I've got a tiny little brush here, which helps if I actually put the brush in the paint the right way. And I'm just going to do something like this, just to give it a little bit of colour, just something like that. Oh, hang on, I've not got enough paint on my brush. I'm working at a kind of funny angle. Yeah, there. Something like that. I think what I might do is when that's dry, I might just put a dark line just over the top. So I'm just going to do another one because I was a bit disappointed because of the finish on the wood. It was a really rough piece of wood that I had, so just kind of smooth it out just because it's stuck to the edges. We'll see what this one looks like, if I can get it off. And you can use these again, put them away for next year. And there we go. Tiny little bit wet. Is it not? There we go. So that's our N. I'm not going to be putting, I don't think, a stamp on this. I think it would probably at the end and at the beginning, possibly. So I'm going to go on and do the O and the E. And, oh, N is at the beginning. I can't spell Noel. Oh dear, it's been one of those days. I'm going to put them to the side right now and do the rest, and we'll come back once these are dry. Okay, so as I've done with these ones here, I've sanded them. And so what I'm doing in between it all is I'm using a finer grit just to kind of give it a bit of a distressed look in between the letters and kind of smooth out any wrinkles like that. And then I'm using a heavy grit to go. I would much rather wet distress. I prefer that on furniture and things, but this paint's been on here quite a while and there's quite a few coats now, so, and you can kind of then just wipe it back with a cloth. I mean, you can go heavy on your distress or light on your distress, whatever you want. Take a bit off this top part here. Now, give them a good, I'm going to put a bit more dampness on my cloth here. I decided I wasn't going to put anything on the end, just have it all at the end. Ooh, with my L. So now I'm going to go and get Martin to attach my letters onto my blocks like that so they stand up. Okay, so I took the paper off the inlays just like I showed you before. I just wet it with my spray and rubbed it with my cloth and pulled them off. Now, what I did was I had to put a darker red on these baubles because obviously it was red and it didn't really show up very well, and that wasn't what I wanted. Now, I have had, and I'm not kidding, every stamp known to Christmas stamp known to man. I have looked at so many stamps to decide what I'm doing here, and you know what? I've came to the conclusion that I just want to put joy on it. And I'll do it in different orientations. I was going to do Eat, Drink and Be Merry, and Be Merry was going to be on the bigger one here, but it's going to look too messy. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a little bit of snow in it. I'm going to let them dry and sand them. So you'll see me doing this now. So for once, I'll let you see me stamping in public. I'm not the best stamper in public. I'm a Martin. He just laughed. He just laughed. Now he's choking, laughing. Now he's coughing. Stop coughing in my videos. I'm sacking you today. And I've just got my ink pad off to the side, and I'm not really thinking too much about it, to be honest with you. Why are you laughing? Oh, obviously used this one with gold the last time. It's very... There we go. So I'm going to put joy on that way on this one. And I think on this orientation, I'm going to have it probably... Am I going to have it this way? Oh no, I need to start with my jade on her. Let's have a wee look. Aye. Yeah, I think no, I'm just going to go with this. Sorry, Martin, you have to move Follow me. So I'm going to stamp all of these with joy, but once I've stamped them, I'm just going to get the tip of a little paintbrush and bring my white back in. And this is before I distress them. I don't want tons of white on it. And I'm just going to do some little parts of snow like that. Cute, Martin says. Cute. He's a big softie. He likes my snow. There. Some bigger than some and some smaller to make it look a wee bit more realistic. Like that. So that's what I'm going to do, and then we'll give it a wee sand and distress it, and then we'll put a wee bit of ribbon on it, I think. Okay. So all I'm doing is I'm just giving them a little bit of a distress. I've done most of them, and then just giving them a good wipe off. I'm going to take them outside, spray seal them, put a bit of ribbon on, and you'll see them at the end in the staging. Next thing I'm going to remove is the inlay on what is going to be my little Christmas tree planter. So I'm just being generous with the water just so it comes off. Give it a couple of seconds, give it a wee pat, and see if we can grab the edge up here. Pull it quite gently. So I think you're beginning to understand by now, because you're seeing it play out, how easy the inlays are to use. Just, if they're sticking, just put a little bit more water on them. It's okay, because it'll dry off. You don't want, if you want to try and save them anyway, you don't want to rip them. And I cut this at an awkward sort of angle, so I'm going to be quite... So this is going to look really nice with my my Christmas tree on. I'm just going to put a little bit more water on here because I think it's a little bit dry in the middle. I'm trying to save the inlay. I mean, I'd like to be able to use it again, but I don't know if I will be. So that's the big part removed. Whoop. There's always a part that rips, but I think I can probably save it if I don't put those words on. That's just, if that happens, just put a bit of water on it. It's just, but make sure you don't touch anywhere that you've had your inlay on, because remember the paint's live. I'm going to have a bit of a problem over here, and I'll show you why. Because the "and" was so dry, it kind of fell off, so it's printed in. So I don't really want to put, I'm going to get a little paintbrush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my water bottle, and I'm just going to get my paintbrush, and I'm just going to gently paint it over here, just so that I'm not touching the "and", because I don't want to smear it. So these are all the things that if they happen to you, then you don't need to panic. Just do something like that. So just gonna try and get the edge of this. Just done maybe with leaving it a minute. And open. And Saturday. There we go. And we've got over here, we don't need to be careful over here. But I'll just use the brush anyway. I think I might have had pink on that paint. I'm not going to save these little parts. I'll pat that down now. My fingers are all thumbs. Get cloth. Martin's thinking, just get it off. Pull it off, Leslie. Right, well, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to give this a quick blast with the heat gun, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and show you once I've distressed it, and literally I'm going to seal this with a heavy varnish because it's going to be outside, so a strong top coat as opposed to the Rust-Oleum spray because it will need it. Okay, so it's a little bit rinse and repeat with inlays. You put them on, you take them back off in the same similar way that you put them on. I'm just taking this tree off. I'm not going to make you endure watching me remove any more inlays today, but I'm just going to get the inlays off the inside of the drawer. Let's make sure my little squishy, my little squisher has given up the ghost for some reason. My other one's over in the house, and so I'm not going over to get it, but you get the gist. I'm going to peel this off now. Okay, so I decided and I had a change of heart. I was going to put ribbon and make it all so kind of tidy, but I've decided to really distress it. I liked all this and I decided to round the edges and everything. I'm going to seal this obviously with sealer, and I'm going to dark wax this outer edge. But I've got my stamp here from a word and. I'm going to put that there. What did you say, Marley? I thought you said it was squint. Did you say it was squint? I don't think it is. Right, okay. So, the word and is here. So, hot cocoa and fresh cut, and I'm going to stamp the word trees down here with my stamps. So, I'll get on and do that. And then the next thing I'm going to spray seal this and wax it. And I think that's just about everything for today. So here's our little mantle blocks that say Noel, really simple to do. Cut your squares of wood the same size as your letters, paint them, make a little piece of wood to make a platform to stand them on, and remember to seal them. And stamping obviously is optional. I've sanded mine down to give it a distressed look, but I just always see these letters in a big tall sign, so I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I'll get Matt to give you a wee close up. There we go. And I'll get on and show you the next one. Okay, these were just the 3 little chopping boards that I got in the pound shop. I just put the Christmas bauble on it, put some words, put a wee bit of snow, sanded them around the edges and a little bit of ribbon. Done. So the old drawer, just put a couple of the inlays on it, the hot cocoa, the fresh cut and the Christmas truck, and then added the word cheese and then heavily distressed the outside. Now I haven't glued in my Christmas florals, but if you were doing something like that, you could glue them all the way around and maybe put some lights and things. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this yet, so I've just arranged these in here, but you can do it in it. I know I said no signs, but it's something that obviously that can hang on a wall or a shelf sitter. Okay, with the wooden vase, all I did was put the inlay on and I heavily distressed it. You don't need to heavily distress it. The reason why I brought the wood back through is because I want to put some, I'm actually going to keep this, I think, so I wanted the brown because I want pine cones, and I've got autumny colours in my Christmas decorations too, so it's going to work for me in my house. A super simple one. This was a piece of veneer that was on a little pot cupboard. I got Martin to remove it. It was just lying about my studio. I just painted it, really heavily distressed it, and put the tree. I didn't put any words or anything on it, put a little bit of velvet ribbon at the top, and that's simple enough, I think. I really love the simplicity of this really cute little sleigh rides tin. Really nice for wrapping, put something in. I was thinking things like maybe a scarf or something that you wanted to give away, and then a nice piece of ribbon.
Or cardigan.
Or a cardigan. A cardigan wouldn't fit in there, Martin. Stop talking about cardigans. And obviously what I've done is I've distressed it to bring back some of this purple, which is in the check around the edges. And that's that one. Okay, so this is just a little planter that's going to go outside my back door with my inlay on it. It's got a little bit of bleed through. It's turned a little bit orange once I'd sealed it. But I'm not really bothered because it's for outside my house. But I would use a shellac before you do something that you're going to be like that you know that has bleed through. I don't very often suffer from it because my colours are always so dark, but I wasn't really thinking about it, and to be honest with you, it's just for my garden, but you're going to do a much better job than me. I'll put on the community tab in the next couple of days a picture of my actual little real tree at my back door in it, so you can see it all finished, but at the moment I've just staged it out with greenery. That's that one. So hopefully that's just given you a little bit of inspo of what to do with the Noel inlays and it not always be signs. You can put them on anything really. So go away and have a look around your house and go, I could do with sticking an inlay on that. So I've been Lel from Made by Marley. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. If you're pondering about subscribing, I would do it. It's quite good. Do a lot of furniture, a lot of reimagining and things like this. So you'd quite like it. If you like this video, give it a like. Please don't forget, if you want to share it, that would be really appreciated. Push the bell notification so you're notified when we release a new video, and I'll see you again another day. Thank you.